Norbert Siedler leads the field to the grid for race 2 of the Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup, the second encounter of the championship, as yesterday here at the Sakhir circuit in Bahrain. And as yesterday, Siedler on pole from René Rast, Christian Engelhardt. Robert Lucas lines up in 4th place ahead of Sean Edwards and Kuba Giamasiak. 16 cars on the grid. And as they gradually make their way in, the new boys, Nicky T, Mikel Ammermuller, Renger van der Zande, Jeroen Mull, are getting ready to start their second Super Cup race. Clutches at bitey points, revs rising, and away they go. And another good start from the poleman. This time he shuts down René Rast as he moves over the pit wall, and squeezing alongside is Christian Engelhardt. René Rast with the dark bonnet in 3rd position into the first corner as Engelhardt makes a good getaway. So too do both Kevin Estre and Nicky Thiem. They're wheel to wheel, side by side, ahead of Sean Edwards. So the row behind him has dived by 5th place starting Sean Edwards, and the Attempto Racing drivers are 5th and 6th, as our poleman Norbert Siedler comes under pressure from Christian Engelhardt.
Yeah, just as I thought, just as I talked about in the pre-race build-up, Norbert Siedler trying to keep René Rast behind at all costs, and it was the Michael Schumacher-like chop, wasn't it, that right across the front row man, and René Rast then had to succumb to Christian Engelhardt. As we see, that is Estre on the inside of Lucas.
That's Giamasiak, in fact. Lucas has dropped back, as he did yesterday. Good in 1 lap qualifying, but not fast enough. That is Kuba Giamasiak, and up the inside comes Estre at turn 10. Parks it on the apex, an absolutely classic motorcycle racing block park. Get to the apex, stop, sort it out. He can't get by you. So that's a good move from Estre, but here comes Giamasiak having a lunge into 11 that doesn't work, but both of them a little slower off the corner than René Rast, the man just in front in 3rd spot.
Yeah, great move from Estre there. It was the rear tyres that he actually locked up. You could hear the engine note go dead, and that's a sinking feeling for the driver, because you can see the car in front that you're closing on, and you're desperate not to run into the back of him for your own race and for his race. But he gets the move done, and Thiem now has got up and past Giamasiak, because Giamasiak compromising himself by going very late on that half-hearted effort that he thought better of on Estre into turn 11. And so Estre now ahead, and Thiem ahead of Giamasiak. So Giamasiak not making the progress that he would have wanted to do, but Siedler, it couldn't have gone better for him, having a car in between himself and René Rast. So Engelhardt, who won.
Ammermuller in the background, the black car being challenged by the 3rd of the Conrad Motorsport cars. That's Renger van der Zande. I think we've lost Sean Edwards. I can't see a Conrad car with a red roof. I think Edwards has gone. I
have to say, in the background, I did see a car retiring on the entry to turn 9 and 10, and there's a sort of a support pit lane there, and it looked as though it must have been Sean Edwards that has retired into that support package pit lane. As we see a replay at the start, look, Siedler, Schumacher-like chop across the front of René Rast, but René Rast was not in a position to challenge. He in turn was coming under pressure from Christian Engelhardt, who started on the 2nd row of the grid, and Engelhardt braked sufficiently late enough to make that move all the way around the outside. Rast very cautious into 1, and Engelhardt putting pressure on our poleman Norbert Siedler. We're on board now with one of the cars further back.
Ooh, missed the gear shift. Yikes, that's a big squeeze. On the left was Patrick Jabinski. And this is Jeroen Mull, the newcomer from the Netherlands. In front of him, Ammermuller, getting squeezed there around the outside. Car 5 at Stefan Rosina. And here is Rast's view. Well, he didn't make a good enough start, did he? It's as simple as that.
No, he didn't. And Engelhardt very, very close. You can just see how close it gets, those of you that aren't racing.
Yeah. Well, you heard how early as well that he was on the brakes, Rast, blipping down a gear shift, getting out of that little battle for the lead to make sure he got through safely. What are we seeing here? Super slow-mo out of 10. That's Ammermuller getting spun round.
By Lucas, so yeah. Lucas having a disaster. I said it was a surprise to see him that far up the field, and obviously his 1 lap pace, very, very good, but racecraft not matching that.
Norbert Siedler, the race leader, with the fastest lap. Battle for third there, René Rast, with the more blue of the two cars being Kevin Estre in fourth place, number 22 Hermes car. His teammate Kurt Team in fifth, ahead of Kuba Giamasiak.
It's amazing, René Rast at this stage of the race with not the pace that we've seen from him the remainder of the weekend. Now it is slightly different as we see battles further back.
Again, that's Jeroen Mol, 15 down the outside. That's Sadan Al-Kuwari, the local VIP driver, and tapped into a spin. Stefan Rosina by his teammate Robert Lucas. Oh dear, and Amel Muller, who was tapped into a spin a little earlier by Robert Lucas, comes through. Well, the stewards, I'm sure, will have something to say to Robert Lucas, because he's now twonked two people out of the race.
Yeah, very, very clumsy from Lucas. Less said about that, the better. I think the stewards will come down on him and come down on him heavily. But going back to what I was saying, that the sun isn't out like it was the rest of the weekend, and so the track temperature is not as high as it has been throughout Friday and Saturday. Air temperature still quite high, but not track temperature. So the tyres, we'll see a replay. This is Rosina. Yep. I can't get my point out, can I, about these tyres? But look, that's Lucas hitting Rosina, and that is just clumsy.
And you know what? Lucas went in so fast, he nearly got the third Porsche racing car, which was on the outside of Jeroen Mol there as well. Look, that was nearly all three of them. In fact, that's not the guest car, it's a Lechner car. Not quite one of the Porsche racing cars, but
so a disaster for Robert Lucas.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be different. It'll be different for the teams. That they will have to guess the pressures, and the degradation might not be as such. We see that the tyres get very, very hot when the sun is out and the track temperature is high, and with the low grip and the sand on the track and the marbles, it means that we slide, so the tyre overheats very, very quickly. Maybe not as quickly as it is today, and René Rast is not as quick as he has been, and that's one of the reasons I portion it to maybe they have gone the wrong way slightly with the strategy and the pressures.
Black and orange flag for Mikel Ammermuller. That's to warn the driver that something might be amiss with his car that he may not be aware of. He may not be aware that he's got a bit of his rear bumper dragging. He may not care either, frankly. Once the team have seen that it's safe, unless he gets black and white flagged into the pits, they will ignore that, or they'll just be aware of it but not take any action. The other thing, potentially, is that Rast may just have been going slightly on the long game and set the car with slightly lower pressures at the beginning. Jeroen Mol has found the gravel trap.
Do they have gravel traps here?
It would be interesting to see whether he was assisted in that.
I've never seen a gravel trap, so that's down at turn one, so he's obviously been tapped.
What's that then?
Yeah, no, that's a gravel trap.
There you go.
I haven't seen a car find one yet, but he's obviously been tapped into a spin. I would have thought in the braking zone, or he's had some kind of failure. Look, well, this is
again the battle with Kuba Giamasiak. And right in front of him, Nicky Thiem. So this is a battle for fifth place. Yikes, Thiem gives it away. Giamasiak earlier on the brakes, Thiem a little too deep in there. Rookie error.
That's a great example of Giamasiak doing the whole get into his mirrors, nowhere near close enough to put a pass on, but if I get into his mirrors, he might see me at the last minute, make a mistake, and Nicky Thiem, the rookie, has done just that. I was almost about to say that's a bit over ambitious by Giamasiak. I don't think that's going to flutter Nicky Thiem, but good job. I didn't say that because it did just do that, and Nicky Thiem giving away that spot.
Mull in the foreground. I did suspect actually that it may not necessarily have been contact.
Has he got a puncture?
Right front puncture.
Yeah, look, that's a failure. So
yeah, locks up. He's in neutral. He's just trying to get it stopped before it hits something hard. And replay here, Nicky Thiem rather, little wide on the entrance, but just too late on the brakes. Easily done, Tom.
Yeah, he was just distracted, wasn't he? When he should have been on the brakes, he was looking in his mirrors because he thought Giamasiak was going to have a look. He wasn't.
I did see in the next shot on the straight, his hand went up to the rear view mirror. I don't know whether he was doing the cannonball run thing of just turning it around so he couldn't see in the background anymore. Couldn't see in the mirrors. But that's the classic thing when you're being followed. Don't look in the mirrors. Look at the road.
Yeah, easier said than done. And
yeah,
we see so much of that
Jabinski in danger here as Robert Lucas actually gets by him without hitting him, which is good because Lucas already under investigation for at least one incident and should be definitely for 2. He moves up to 9th place. I think that may be immaterial though.
Yeah, Jabinski probably getting out of the way rather than Lucas through on pace, but nevertheless in the Porsche car, new team for this year, and Lucas finally starting to redeem himself.
Champion René Rast in the dark green car, ahead of 33 Kevin Estre, they're 3rd and 4th, settling down in the rest of the top 10. Although here you can see Patrick Jabinski having a good run again at car number 4, Robert Lucas, fellow pole, but in a different team.
Brilliant, flashing the lights and everything. I think you're going the wrong way, Patrick, but he's going to have to keep up with Robert Lucas if he's going to put a move on him. Never mind flash the lights to put him under pressure. No, that's another mistake. We've seen quite a few mistakes so far in this race, but Jabinski just going wide there, and that's not going to help his cause if he's to keep up with Robert Lucas.
Well, you can see in the foreground all those big black, look like little black bits of gravel. Those are bits of tyre that have flown off the GP2 cars. And that's what we talk about when we talk about marbles, Tom. And it's called marbles, not rubbish or debris or tyre wear or something, because of the effect it has when your car runs over it. Instead of your nice hot tyre being on flat tarmac, it's basically like a cartoon running over ball bearings, and you just don't get the grip. The tyre picks up those bits of random rubber, and that can add to sort of putting the wheels out of balance and giving you a vibration. But the critical thing is, it is like running over ball bearings. They just move under the car, and the car just washes sideways off the track.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a flat surface, and those ball bearings, if you like, are not going to be dispersed by anything. So therefore, the flat surface cannot grip to the tarmac, which is another flat surface, because it's got those ball bearings, those marbles in the way. They can't be dispersed like you have water dispersed by a wet tyre. There's no grooves, there's nothing, so therefore the car just has no grip. There is not a flat surface being able to connect to another flat surface in layman's terms. Those ball bearings get in the way, and it is literally like being on ice. Imagine running into a room with ball bearings. You're just going to fall flat on your backside, and that's effectively what these cars do. You cannot get the car stopped, you cannot get the car turned in. It's a horrible feeling. And it's exaggerated on weekends like this with the Formula 1 and the GP2 that have such high tyre degradation and not enough time to clear the track, essentially, in between. You can see them on the right-hand side, and there will be a lot more of those marbles on the inside of the preceding corners. So you can't sweep the track in between races because the timetable's so fraught. Now, Norbert Siedler doing a great job. I didn't predict. I knew he'd be quick. I knew he'd be at the front. But look at the pace of which they've left René Rast and Christian Engelhardt. Won a race earlier on last year, the first round, did a great job. This is Rosina now recovering, because he's got a lot of ground to recover after his teammate unceremoniously dumped him out.
Well, he only started 12th as well, Stefan Rosina, so really not on prime form at all.
No, exactly. But yeah, Norbert Siedler doing a great job, and Christian Engelhardt with him. They've just left René Rast, and René Rast was talking at the beginning of the weekend that car is actually not a new car. That car has come from the GT3 Challenge Cup that they run in the Emirates in the off-season. And so when he arrived here this weekend, he didn't know what that car had done in terms of mileage, who'd been driving it, and much about it. So they had to really strip the car and start again, and spent a lot of Friday's practice bedding in brakes and other parts of the car, and he needed to get used to it. He did a great job by putting it on the front row of the grid. It can be a psychological disadvantage having all of that baggage going into a weekend, but René Rast, a class act, and putting that behind him, but not managing to find the pace that he's had throughout the weekend. And he's almost under pressure now, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like he's going backwards. That is.
He definitely hasn't been able to escape in any way, has he? Looking there at car number 14, Renger van der Zande, one of our rookies this season, behind Sebastian Bleekemolen, the only Bleekemolen in the field this year. And leader Norbert Siedler not easing away from Christian Engelhardt by more than a fraction of a second at any stage, but they are safely clear of the third place car of René Rast. Then it is Kevin Estre, red, white and blue is Jabinski, then Nicky Thiem, Sebastian Bleekemolen, and behind him Renger van der Zande, so an all-Dutch battle. In fact, there's quite a few Dutch drivers now. Jeroen Mul, although he's now out of the race. So most numerous are Germans, but then Dutch and Poles follow.
It's just worth pointing out that we don't have MRS GT Racing with us this weekend. They pulled out, citing safety reasons. They didn't travel to Bahrain, so Philip Eng and Will Langhorne will join us in Barcelona, and also I think Alessandro Zampedri will be with us as well. So those three drivers not on the grid for this weekend, but expect them to be there in Barcelona.
Again, the gap between the leaders remains very constant, no matter what Christian Engelhardt does. Norbert Siedler seems to have just enough. It was a good shot a couple of laps ago of Norbert that came towards us up the straight. Could see his hand inside the visor open on his helmet, but just kind of mopping his eyes a little bit. So it looks pretty dumb. I mean, you know, this could be Silverstone 19 degrees in the middle of July. It's not. It is still pretty hot. All right, it's not bright sunshine and crystal skies, but it's still very hot work in the cars, and clearly Norbert getting a bit of sweat in the eyes.
It'll push 40 degrees in these cars, undoubtedly. The heart rate will be up at around 150 beats per minute, so for the average human being, that's like a spinning class heart rate. So imagine going to the gym, spinning in 40 degrees, and this is what these guys are doing, working out. So he'll have sweat in the eyes, no doubt, and these guys are working incredibly hard. It looks easy, it looks like a Sunday drive. Believe you me, it isn't.
Race leader Norbert Siedler with Christian Engelhardt right with him. And 3 to go, 2 at the end of this. And at the moment, Engelhardt showing no signs of being able to challenge Siedler. He's there, he's hovering around like a shadow, but he just can't get close. Meanwhile, we're behind Kevin Estre. This is Kuba Girmasiak we ride on board with. The battle for 4th, 3rd place just in front of us. Turning in the distance is Rene Rast, the Race 1 winner and double reigning Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup champion.
Estre looking like he's starting to struggle with that rear tyre wear, the tyre wear that we talked about earlier on in the race. A lot of weight over the rear axle in these cars, and as they turn in the centre of gravity, look, trying to pull the car to the left-hand side, the tyres are giving in because they don't want to know anymore. They've had it in terms of grip, the turning circle, the edge of adhesion. As soon as you pick up the throttle and bring traction into that equation, the tyres are giving up, and Girmasiak now all over the back of Estre into turn 1.
The slight worry for Girmasiak, we heard him at the end of the long straight there, the engine going on the rev limiter, so his gearing just a fraction too short for being in the slipstream, and he couldn't make the move stick there. Estre just got to the apex and denied him 4th place.
It's a set gearing, isn't it, in these cars? Everything's so tightly managed, and the technical aspect of these cars right on the edge of performance, and so the margins of error are so slight, and that's why we don't quite see the overtaking that you would see and say, you know, I'm going to say the BTCC, for example, completely different. You know, this is GT racing, now it's touring car racing, but they have a roof, so you know what I'm getting at. But these cars are so well engineered, like the BTCC ones, but you don't get the slipstream, you don't get some of the perks that you get in touring car racing across, mirrored into the GT racing scene. So very difficult to get past the other car because so tightly matched.
Well, good battle here with the black bonnet, Sebastian Bleekemolen. Behind him with the turquoise highlights, Renger van der Zande. And van der Zande in his first ever weekend of Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup racing. The ex-single-seater star doing a good job.
I've got him down as one to watch. Come from the Mercedes DTM squad where he competed last year, and that is a very, very tight environment in terms of performance and talent. And so once Renger van der Zande gets to grips with this Porsche, it's not the easiest of cars to get into. It's like nothing you've ever driven. And once he gets his head around that, he's definitely going to be one to watch. And in that Conrad car as well. Put the deal together very late with Sean Edwards. It was a matter of days before this Bahrain race. And look at the clouds. I think that's even darker probably.
Yeah. It's just dull and grey, heavy cloud overhead, and there is a forecast of rain for the afternoon. Not a very high percentage. You're much more likely to get wet, I think, if you're out watching the London Marathon than watching the Bahrain Grand Prix. But that might throw another little spanner in the works for the Formula 1 drivers. High tyre degradation, difficult to overtake in a Formula One car here, although if you watch the GP2 race, you can't possibly imagine why that would be, because they had no problems. But a bit of rain would also help. And again, Estre getting into the apex, but again, he's too slow. Gamaziak's running all over the back of him until they get out onto the straight, and then he just can't quite stay with him.
It's the traction zones, isn't it? Look, Estre now struggling to get the car into the corner. It doesn't want to turn.
And Gamaziak again deep inside him. Estre can't get it slowed down, and Gamaziak's running into the back of him. Last lap, last chance for a lunge.
This is an opportunity now down into turn 7, but nowhere near close enough. So Estre doing just enough, stop the car on the apex.
Well, this is where he sets up the move into 10, out of that second gear left-hander, as they head out into slightly brighter area of the track. Over the brow, down into corner 9 and 10, and he doesn't get the mistake he wanted. I don't think that's going to happen. Leaders are now down at 11 at the end of this short straight behind the support race pits, which is to the left. You can see the pit boards being hung out by the team, just to remind everybody they're on their last lap. And Estre hanging on. Meanwhile, Van der Zander's got to run. He's got the move out of Bleekemolen. There you go. Renger van der Zande used his expertise under braking there, but drifts a little wide. That'll do, though. You can go out wide enough there because the track comes back to you and your rival has to go the long way around the outside. So Van der Zande picks up 7th spot from Sebastian Bleekemolen, and right behind is Robert Lucas, who yet to be penalised. Meanwhile, out of the final corner comes Norbert Siedler, heads to the checkered flag, less than half a second behind him, I think, Christian Engelhardt. 3rd place will be René Rast, out of corner 14 and heading to the line. The battle for 4th, Kevin Estre takes it from Kuba Giermaziak. Nicky Thiem, the bright blue car, there in 6th, and then Renger van der Zande getting by Sebastian Bleekemolen on the last lap to take 7th away from him.
Well done, Norbert Siedler. All credit. A lot of the talk, and by us, was all about René Rast, even though the pole man was a double pole sitter. I think he got fastest lap in that. René Rast didn't feature. Norbert Siedler doing a great job holding off Christian Engelhardt. He only had 1 win last year, and he's already got that 1 win for 2012 under his belt in the opening round.
And he leaves Bahrain and heads to Barcelona as the championship leader, because he was on pole twice as well, wasn't he? And ended up with 18 points yesterday. And René Rast will not score 18 points today for 3rd place. He will get just 16, which means that it is Norbert Siedler who will be our new championship leader. Well, Sean Edwards was tied for 2nd after yesterday's race with Siedler, but failing to complete a lap. The British driver, unfortunately, will plummet out of contention as they leave Bahrain. So that was doubly vital for Norbert Siedler. First of all, Tom, when the champions won the first race, you've got to stop the rot. You've got to immediately try and break his winning stretch. So, you know, it's a double race weekend. If he wins both of them, then, you know, blimey, it's set for the season, isn't it? You're really in trouble. So vital for Siedler not to give away 2 poles and let Rast win both races. And he's done that, and better than that, Engelhardt got between them on the podium as well. So he's outscored Rast. And from what yesterday might have been a bit depressing for Siedler, just seeing Rast disappear into the distance, he'll go and sit down at lunch as the points leader. Now, that's a big turnaround in 24 hours.
Yeah, you've got to rock the perch of René Rast and do that for as long as possible. Otherwise, if he gets comfortable, he gets cemented, then it's going to be a one-horse race. But René Rast fans, don't panic. I mean, René Rast didn't finish in the top 5 until Monaco last year. So the first 2 races of last year, he had effectively, like, I think it was a 5th and a 7th, and then won at Monaco, and then didn't look back because he won literally, 4 races plus the World Cup, 5 races last year. So Norbert Siedler will be aware of that, but he's doing everything he can and doing it well in order to keep that perch rocking. So job done. Norbert Siedler, he's set out to do a job and he's done that. So all credit to him.
And the other thing, of course, is they both race for Walter Lechner, so his team has 2 cars on the podium again. There's Chris Crawford in the black shirt celebrating, and Franz Conrad's team also on the podium, 2nd place today with Christian Engelhardt. Parc Fermé with our race winner here, race 2 in Bahrain, Norbert Siedler, the new championship leader, being congratulated on his fine win. Well taken, he made no mistakes from pole position and grabbed the win. And just a little shot, again we missed it during the break, of him, his teammate René Rast and team boss Walter Lechner Senior. And of course this is kind of home territory, even though it's an Austrian there in the pale blue shirt that runs this team.
Yeah, no, Walter Lechner runs a lot of the Asia Championships, the Challenge Cup that's run out of here. A lot of the cars are based here. He's based here to a certain extent, and they did a lot of testing over the winter months in Bahrain. So this is effectively, like you said, home territory for them. But you still got to go out and do the job, and you still got to go out and beat the likes of René Rast and Sean Edwards and Engelhardt and all the other, experienced guys. Conrad, like you said, Chris Crawford, these are top dogs in the world of motorsport. So it doesn't matter how much testing you do, you still got to go out and get it done. But Norbert Siedler definitely at a slight advantage, but making the most of it.
Well, but René Rast, here as well, same team, Lechner Racing, so they've done well. Christian Engelhardt there on the podium as well, 2nd position. Good news for him. Won the season opener last year, which was in Istanbul. And kind of faded a little. Let's hope he has a little bit more of a consistent season. What we really need is some different winners taking points away from René Rast and, well, potentially, I suppose, away from Norbert Siedler, if that's the way it boils down. So we get different winners at different tracks and a close championship all the way through.
Yeah, Norbert Siedler was there and thereabouts at the beginning of last year, but made some big mistakes at times, and hopefully he can learn from those and will take the championship to René Rast throughout the year.
Our race winner, 29-year-old Austrian Norbert Siedler, takes race win number 2 of the year. The first for him. Along on his right, our left, is René Rast, the man who won yesterday and the defending double Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup champion. And of course, this being the 20th anniversary season, it'll be an extra little boost at the end of the year to have won this special series of the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. And I think definitely on the podium today, we've got 3 of our potential champions, because there's no question that Rast, Siedler and hopefully Engelhardt should be in the running. Yesterday's Conrad podium finisher in 2nd place between Lechner cars was Sean Edwards, and he's the only one who is not on the podium twice here.
I think they've lost the
I think they've lost the tape for the anthem or the CD. You saw Franz Conrad down there chatting up to his driver Christian Engelhardt. Here we go. you go, the Austrian national anthem rings out for Norbert Siedler, our race winner and new championship leader. He wins race 2 here at the Sakhir circuit in Bahrain. Second place between two Lechner drivers is a Conrad driver as yesterday. Yesterday, Sean Edwards. Today, it's Christian Engelhardt who finishes on the podium. And yesterday's race winner takes third. Yesterday's third place man takes the win. So René Rast joins the podium. Oh no, somebody's already emptied the fizzy. Somebody's been necking it while they were waiting for the podium to start.
Note that they drench each other today because they don't have a race tomorrow. Yeah,
don't have to wear the stinky race suits tomorrow. Won't smell of champagne, it'll smell of rose water instead. That's it then from Bahrain. Next race for the Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup, supporting the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona. From Tom Gaymore and me, Martin Haven. We'll see you then. Enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.